When I started my YouTube channel 4 years ago, I dreamed of getting to review audio products that would not only impress me with their performance, but also teach me how to grow in my audiophile journey, and if I'm lucky, even fall in love with my music all over again. This doesn't usually happen, but I got to review this AT-LPA2 turntable from Technica. And today I'm going to tell you about my experience listening to music with this new turntable. Is it worth it? Let's find out. Hi there, my name is Aaron, and I've been buying vinyl records for over 30 years now, and I've often wondered if there are any improvements I could make to enhance the sound of my vinyl collection. Today, I want to introduce you to what Technica calls the finest turntable they've ever made. The fully manual, transparent LPA2, packed with features I've yet to experience in a turntable at this high of a price. I want to share with you what it was like to experience this new turntable, the setup, the feel, and most importantly, what I learned about how I can improve the sound of vinyl when listening to this level of higher end analog gear. And at the end of the video, we'll determine, is it worth the upgrade? When Technica first asked me if I'd be interested in reviewing this turntable, I looked at the photos and immediately said, yes, of course. But I have to admit there was a nagging little voice in my brain that kept telling me, I don't know, this turntable looks a little too complicated. Thankfully, Technica's instructions for assembling this table are very easy to understand and implement. I was nervous when I first unboxed the unit, but putting everything together wasn't complicated at all. One reason this table is easy to set up is Technica includes a cartridge installed with a custom head shell, which takes a lot of guesswork out of the equation. More about this cartridge in a few minutes because I have a lot to say about it. The instructions tell you exactly what settings to use in terms of balancing the tone arm with the appropriate counterweight and setting the anti-skate, which uses a string type weight, something I never used before. This turntable comes with 2 counterweights in case your cartridge of choice requires more weight, but the included cartridge uses the lighter counterweight. The LPA2 has a beautiful, lightweight, carbon fiber tone arm that allows for adjustable VTA or vertical tracking angle for anyone who wants to adjust the angle at which the stylus of the cartridge meets the record groove. Thankfully, the VTA is set ahead of time for the included cartridge, so I didn't have to do anything special, but it's nice knowing Technica included this feature in case it's needed later. And speaking of adjustments, the feet can be raised or lowered to ensure the table is level. Once this turntable is set up, it is really amazing to look at. But this look is more than just a vanity play by Technica. It's a byproduct of engineering, as the LPA2 is made of transparent clear acrylic at 30 millimeters thick for the chassis and another 20 millimeter thick for the platter. This acrylic is vital to minimize resonance that can cause noise and distortion, and it does that job very well. This table is dead quiet in operation. Now, if you're going to use this much acrylic to reduce vibration, it wouldn't make sense to add automatic start and stop features. So this is a fully manual, belt-driven turntable that handles 33 and 45 RPM playback. Thankfully, you do not have to adjust the belt when changing speeds, which is also nice. And again, if you want to make the turntable as quiet as possible, you want to isolate all potential noise issues. And Technica did this by designing an external control unit that sits separate from the table. This is where you power on the unit, select the speed, and start and stop the platter spinning. This connects to the table with a nice long cable, which is great for allowing you more flexibility when installing the turntable into your home audio system. I really enjoyed having these controls separated from the turntable, and what impressed me the most was how well the platter responds. When you push start, it begins spinning quickly, and more importantly, when you press stop, the platter doesn't take long to stop spinning, which is nice when using a manual turntable. It can be easy to get impatient waiting for the platter to stop spinning when you're ready to flip sides, but that isn't an issue with the LPA2. One more thing regarding speed control, Technica includes an optical sensor located under the spindle, which monitors platter rotation to maintain an accurate speed. Some of you might flinch at the $2,000 price tag for the AT-LPA2, but Keep in mind, Audio-Technica is including a cartridge, the AT-OC9XEN, which is a moving coil cartridge that has a standalone retail price of $400. Audio-Technica saves us a lot of time by installing this expensive cartridge on a head shell, so it's easy to quickly fit on the tone arm, get balanced, and start playing. No fussing with tiny screws or worrying you'll break a $400 stylus when installing. In the almost 30 years that I've been collecting records, I've hesitated to spend the extra money to upgrade to moving coil from moving magnet cartridges. This isn't because I'm not aware of the supposed sound improvements by upgrading. It's just that I've been hesitant to invest money in a cartridge that costs more not only in price, but also in accessories like a special preamp or a step-up transformer, not to mention the stylus cannot be easily replaced like it can on a moving magnet cartridge. Honestly, every time I've thought about upgrading to a moving coil cart, I end up blowing my budget on buying more vinyl records instead. So was there a sound difference in listening to this turntable with the moving coil cartridge versus using my old vintage turntables with a moving magnet cartridge? Yes, but before I tell you about that sound difference, I think I need to explain a little bit about my process to actually get this cartridge to behave and play properly with my vintage audio gear, because Audio-Technica goes out of their way to note in their sales materials that this cartridge has a low output voltage of just 0.35 millivolts and will require a step-up transformer or moving coil phono preamp to boost the signal. I was so excited to start playing this turntable that I plugged it directly into the phono stage on my vintage Marantz 2270, forgetting this is for moving magnet carts, not moving coil. So of course that did not work properly and I could barely hear any music coming from the turntable. I then tried a variety of external phono preamps that I have on hand that are for both moving coil and moving magnet cartridges like this Vincent, and things improved a little bit, but I was still having to crank the volume on the 2270 to get normal playback levels. I then remembered I had this cheap $100 phono preamp from IEMA that has dip switches on the bottom of the unit to really dial in the levels needed for the OC9XEN. And that worked great to my surprise, until the power brick on this IEMA unit started making a squealing sound and I had to move on. This led me into the wonderful world of learning about step-up transformers, or SUTs, by watching videos by the great Steve Gutenberg and more. However, I was surprised to see SUTs can sometimes cost upwards of $500, and that's on the low end. I then found my friend Ed from Old Guy Hi-Fi's video about this budget SUT from Booyo Sound for just $250 shipped and decided to give it a try. It paired great with the Marantz 2270 and gave this low voltage moving coil the boost it needed for me to really determine if I prefer the sound of a moving coil or moving magnet cartridge. The most immediate sound difference I could tell was channel separation. Instantly, I could tell how much better this cartridge could separate the right and left channel sounds, as well as place instruments better in the soundstage. It was a night and day difference from my previous moving magnet cartridge. It was the kind of exciting change in sound that had me jumping up to find another record to play, waiting to hear how this moving coil cartridge could play my old vinyl collection back in a new way. I played all genres, including rock, and noticed the vocals had a way of centering themselves better than my moving magnet cartridge could do. Even my wife noted that it sounded like Tom Petty was in the room when listening to Long After Dark, which has recently become one of my favorite Tom Petty albums. My well-loved albums that play with a little bit of background noise actually played quieter on the LPA2, and any annoying pops were greatly reduced or barely noticeable at all. Overall, the cartridge has a very neutral sound without any unwanted coloration, which is appreciated. When researching the difference between moving coil and moving magnet cartridges, what I heard with this moving coil cartridge makes sense. Due to the different way these carts are designed, moving coils are lighter in weight, which means they can respond quicker in the vinyl grooves than moving magnet. This lightweight assembly allows for more detailed sound reproduction and helps find those low-level sounds that a heavier moving magnet cart might miss. To me, what makes a new piece of equipment exciting is when it can play back things that I have never heard before in my media collection. And that is exactly what this turntable and cartridge did. There were instruments that normally hung out back in the mix that were brought forward with better balance. Not to mention sometimes there was instrumentation that I simply had not heard before. This is why I spent weeks pulling out albums from my collection and playing them, curious to hear what this new setup would reveal and being surprised each time. Given the $2,000 price tag for this turntable, I think including this moving coil cartridge was the right move. The dead quiet operation of this clear acrylic turntable matched with the punchy, lively cartridge that would cost $400 by itself pair great together, especially for someone like me who is now hoping to make the permanent change from moving magnet to moving coil cartridges and dive further into the rabbit hole of step-up transformers, MC phono preamps, and more. The entire experience has brought new life and excitement back into my vinyl collection. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta go spin some records, but if you're interested in learning about two more entry-level Audio Technica turntables and how they compare with each other, you can do so by watching this video here.